Hello, good evening everyone. So, today the topic is mobile application and security. Now, before going to the application and security, nowadays, as we know, everyone are using technologies, and to be handy and portable, you have one of the best way of utilizing the technologies in your pocket, that is your mobile phones, whether it's Android, iOS based, or any other different form of your applications you are using in a pocket friendly or in a portable way is your mobile. Might be you are considering as a tablet, as a iPad, but the core version of it, or the core, is that it is a kind of portable thing that you can use easily and handy. But due to this advancement and usage of these mobiles by every person, there are high chances of being risk, or your data might get tampered easily by your end. So how you can use this particular mobiles application for testing, or how you can check for certain vulnerabilities, and why there is a need of applications which provide certain kind of security for your mobiles. So let's see what this mobile application actually talking about. So the very main purpose of this mobile phones are to provide a proper communication by using internet for the daily life purpose, like whether it's for your banking, it's for your healthcare sector, or for your entertainment purpose. So all these purposes are been properly covered or properly communicated by using this mobile. So it's very handy to use all these different resources on one portable platform. Now there might be chances that due to this advancement or due to this usage of these mobile phones, there are different vulnerabilities, and due to these vulnerabilities there are high chances of having a risk in your Android, because your Android carries certain languages or applications, and that applications are providing a interface for you to have a access of all these different resources in one portable device. So there might be chances that due to any reason there is certain vulnerabilities, or your Android is not patch free. In that case, there is a risk to your data, your sensitive data. So let's talk about different applications version. So why there is a need or advancement of these versions? Because every time when you see, for not only the Android phones or for any kind of software you are using in the mobile phones, but also in your laptops, after every certain period or frequent time, there is an updations for your software, for your applications, or whether for your Android devices or any other devices which you are using. So why this need of version updation is there? Because if you are using the older version, and in that there are certain vulnerabilities which leads an entry point for an attacker, then you might be in a very critical state where your data or your sensitive information, like your credential, your username, your password, your banking details, everything, even though your photos, your gallery, your drive, everything will be easily accessible by the attackers. So that's the reason there is a different versions for mobile applications, and some of the common, or you can say different version specifications are your initial release, your minor updates. Now before talking to these different versions, the very first version or the very first type which I have listed over here is your initial release. Now initial release is actually the very first release of the product after the deployment. So majority of the time we are assuming that all the applications which has been already released on that itself there is a testing. So because of that there is a certain updation, certain patches has been removed, but there is a different way of categorizing these versions. Sometimes these versions are being categorized in or updated internally testing, external testing. So depend on this way of testing, how the user feedback is taken for certain applications updations, and this updation has been categorized into this version updation. So minor updation, it occurs when, like, suppose if you are having the first version of a particular application, and at a certain point there is certain vulnerability or certain patches in a particular application, and it required a very minor changes. At that time it's considered as 1.1 or 1.0. But if there is a lot of loopholes, lot of bugs, lot of flaws present in that particular application, and it's taking a lot time to be patched properly and provide a fully secured application or device to the users to be used easily, so at that time there is a major updation. So you can if you can correlate one of the good example for this, you can see after version 10 for Windows we are having version 11. There is no version like 10.0, 10.1. So this is the major updations. As a user we will not able to correlate with these updations, but the developer is changing this updations number from 10 to 11 based on this vulnerabilities, or based on the patches they have been designing a new entire software or application. Now beta version and alpha version is something that is your just like your feedback, where they are trying to check for a flaw present in a system or in an application, or you can say either it's a application given to a certain people, like they are trying to have an internal testing, you can say. And after getting a frequent feedback from the users, like if user is saying that this particular application is not very friendly, or this application needs a few further updations, so taking certain feedbacks from some of the users, they are trying to make more better or make better security for that particular version, for that particular product. So this is where your beta version comes. But for alpha version is a product or a project, you can say, which is fully functionally working properly, and after all the testing like penetration testing, for checking for the security testing, functional testing, unit testing, after all this testing, once successfully given approval from the tester that yes, this particular application is good and enough to use by the user, then only the version is being released for her. So this is where your alpha version takes place. So I hope you guys were clear about the different versions, why there is a need for these versions. So it's depend why these versions are being released, or why we require to have an updated version based on the older and the newer version. Now we are having some common vulnerabilities with respect to your mobile applications. Now what actually these vulnerabilities, or like your mobile application vulnerability could expose to. So this mobile application vulnerability will going to expose a very heavy risk for the user, because an individual who is using their mobile, for them they are not just holding a mobile, not any kind of portable device. For them each and every sort of data, like their credentials, banking details, their healthcare history, their photos, their private accounts, everything from online media to offline media, which is very much important or sensitive to them, it's been stored in that device. So at any frequent point that data or the device is being compromised, there is high chances or high risk, you can say, that this data breach or this unauthorized access could lead to a heavy or a critical malware infection. So what could be this common vulnerabilities from the user perspective or from the developer flaw perspective? Uh, and this flaw can be easily recognized by the developer by using the CWE, because for developers who are designing any kind of project, they have to check to the CWE. So anyone could remember what is this CWE? We have talked about this earlier. Just simply write in the chat box. Yes, Anand Kumar. So this CWE is not for the security expert. They are not going to use this. But yes, of course, the when certain kind of vulnerabilities has been detected, at that time, the user will going to check for this particular CWE, that what is the flaw in that particular project which has lead. Sort of, it's not vulnerabilities, because I am talking about CWE. So it is common weakness enumeration. And why it will be common weakness enumeration? Because enumeration is something where attacker is trying to get the information about the target, and also he is trying to make an active connection with that target. So that's the reason here the CWE stands for common weakness enumeration. Yes, Anand Kumar. Now let's see what are these different vulnerabilities. So we are having insecure data storage, insecure communication, insecure authorization, insecure authentication. Now if you can see my screen, the very first four which I have listed is insecure. But with respect to what? Your data storage, your communication, your authorization, your authentication. So as I said earlier, the data, right now there is an information warfare, or you can say even cyber warfare, because right now at this particular era or this particular century, your information or the data is the crucial asset for every organization, for an individual itself, because it's not only telling about you, who are you, but what are you, where are you, and what are you doing. Each and everything is being correlated with your data. So it's very important that how you're storing the data, how you're managing the data. And if someone who is not the authorized person is having access over this data, you might be in a heavy danger, or your data is being misused by someone for the very wrong purpose. Because of course, if your data is still, no one is going to use your data for a fruitful cause. Now what sort of insecure communication? Now this insecure communication will be leads to the developer, because sometimes if a web page is not properly designed and not deployed certain SSL, TLS, or even HSTS standards and protocols, this lack of security will lead to an insecure communication on the internet for the user as well as for the organizations, because every communication on this platform will be easily spoofed by the attacker who is sitting in the network and trying to perform a man in the middle attack. Now we are having broken cryptography. So what this broken cryptography actually means is that, suppose you are using certain application or certain devices which is not applying a proper configure or proper key encrypted system. So in that case, if your data is properly encrypted but the key is not enough proper encrypted and no key exchange algorithm is applied for that, there will be high chances that your cryptography is not that secure and the attacker could have an access to your key. So that's where your broken cryptography takes place. Whether it's with respect to misconfiguration, not properly applied the algorithm, or the algorithm which is applied is itself is a weak. Instead of this, we have few more vulnerabilities, that is your code tampering, input validation issues, insecure third party libraries, improper session management, insufficient security configuration. Now, why it's saying that insecure third party libraries? Because whenever you are using certain applications, like even from the Play Store, if you are trying to download certain applications, they are the third party applications which you are installing in your devices. So you have to make sure that any third party libraries or applications you are using, it is properly secured, or it can be used or not. Now for the session management, as we know, if there is a high level of security, but if someone is spoofing, I am directly stating the statement that someone is spoofing or sniffing in your network, they can have a access over your session. So it's very crucial to manage the session on the devices, because majority of the people have a habit that they have used a particular session but they forgot to log out from a session. So this continuation of the session could also sometimes lead an attacker to access your device. Now just let's talk about how you can check for this certain what we can say attacks that we can take place. So over here, if you can see, I am using Genymotion. So in the link, so the link for the Genymotion and for the Phonesploit, which we are going to use, has been given in the description itself. So you guys can refer from there, link for the using. So I will highly recommend that anyone is going for this Android testing, just use this Genymotion. It is one of the useful way of practicing for the Android application testers. And as we know, we have different ways of testing your SAST, your DAST, and also we are having MAST, or you can say MUST. What is this? Is actually your mobile application security testing tool. So you have different security testing tools like mobile security framework. So mobile security framework is a penetration testing tool for the mobile itself, and where you can go for static, dynamic as well as for the forensic. So over here, if you can see on my screen, I have already started this Genymotion and we are going to use this particular Nexus mobile application. Okay. So any one of you have ever used any kind of applications for Android application testing, like anything rather than your Phonesploit? Ishwar is saying he has used Android Studio. So have you used Android Studio for like this mobile penetration testing purpose, or just for the language learning? because somewhere Android, every one of us have once of a time in our graduation have we have seen what is Android Studio and how we can code on it. Genymotion was not working. Okay, so the link which we have provided in the description, you can see. Just when you are referring that particular link, just see the requirements. They have provided you with the requirements. If that minimum requirement you guys are having, then only the Genymotion will be successfully going to work at your end. So anyone who is not able to fulfill that requirement at your end, the Genymotion will going to lag a lot. And the best way you can do, once all the installation has been done, simply you have to reboot your system and all the error will be resolved. That's the best way you can utilize the Genymotion, because Android Studio make your system very much slower. So Ishwar, you are saying for mobile pen testing you have used. So what is the one way you can check whether your mobile phone is secure or not? One of the simple way you can check. Or any one of you can simply write in the chat box what is the one best way where you can check that your mobile phone is secure and it's not an entry point for the attacker. Okay, so for certain things we required a root privilege, so that's why I'm shifting to the root itself. So over here, if you can check, I have already installed, or you can say clone, this Phonesploit Pro. So let's change the directory, and in this you can see we are having different files and folders. That we are having documents, we are having Phonesploit Python scripting requirement, test APK, and different modules. So we are not concerned about this, but whenever you are installing anything from the GitHub repositories, make sure you are using the externally you are using the virtual environment, because it the GitHub repository is managed externally, so you will be not able to perform certain command. So that's the need we are going to go for what we can say, for the virtual environment. So over here I am simply activating my virtual environment, and now we can simply perform the scan. But before performing this, anyone can let me know in the chat box that what this phone exploit will actually help me, whether it's going to help me to have an access on the Android. Yes or no? Simple. So over here you guys can see I am using this Nexus from the Genumotion. So what we are going to do, using this particular phone exploit pro, we are going to check whether we can have access on this device or not. So over here you can see the IP address of this device has been listed, that is 192.168.95.101, and the important thing is that any Android application you are using will have a port that is 5555. So make sure whenever you are using application or you are testing on Android, this is open. So for this, what we can do, how we can check, simply open a new terminal and nmap hyphen ss space hyphen p and then IP address of it, that is 192.168.95.101. So we need a root access for that. So over here the scan has been started and it will display me that this particular port is open, because if this port is not open and I am not able to ping this port, we will not able to perform certain attack. So you can see the scan has been started. It will take few minutes to complete this scan. So any one of you can simply write in the chat box why I have used this command in nmap, that is hyphen ss and hyphen pn. So let it be, it's scanning. So over here the very first thing the advantage of this is that you have so many instructions over here, that how you can connect a device, you can get the screenshot, you can get the recording, you can run an app, you can install an app, uninstall the app. Also, if you are simply going on the next page, you can see different ways how you can access the data by copying all the screenshot, having the WhatsApp data. You can provide certain link on the devices. So we are going to see few of this, because so over here you can see that it has successfully scanned the ports, open ports for this particular IP address, and the service, if you can see, it's free CIV. Now this is your task for you guys, that check what this service is actually. Free CIV is a service which is been listed for this port 5555. So this is one of the assignment for you guys only, that free CIV is what kind of services and what is its purpose, because it's listed that it is an open port. So let's close this screen. Now we can just simply go back to the previous page on the very first, and we will try to connect to the device. So over here we have to perform, or we have to give the IP address. So that is 192.168.95.101. So we have successfully connected to that device. Now you want to check is it really connected to that device or not. So before checking that, just check that how many devices right now connected with my on my machine. So over here only one device is, and this device is using VBox, that is your virtual box, and the model. So as I said, it's a Nexus model, so it has been listed the model, the device product, and the device which is being used, and the transport ID is 1. So everything. Now let's check whether we can get screenshot of this device or not. So before getting the screenshot, let me change. So I want a gallery to be open at my end first. So this right now this gallery is blank, so it's okay. So it's storing certain draft images, you can say. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to get the images. So for images or for the screenshot, you have to press 6 number. So over here what I am going to do, I am going to give the 6, that is for the screenshot, and it will ask for the path where you want to store that screenshot. So right now I don't want that to be stored in a default place. So what I am supposed to use, I am opening a new tab, and let me check what's the present directory. So the present directory is home Sakshi, but I want to make a new file for phone adb underscore image. So over here you can see phone adp image is created as a directory. So I am changing my directory to phone adp image, and right now no any kind of folder document is there. So again you can check your present directory, and I am going to save it. Simply copy this path and you can save over here. So you can see the screenshot has been successfully created, and you can open right now here itself. So this is what we have seen in the phone. So you have full access to that particular Android. And why we are having the access on this Android? Yes, ADB stands for Android Debug Bridge. So why we are having this access to this particular devices due to the debugger mode. How? Let me show you. Over here, not only in this but in your actual Android devices, simply go to the setting, and this is one of the security thing that you have to make sure you are not enabling your debugger mode at any frequent time. So over here you can see we are having different thing. So right now over here you can just simply go for system, about phone, and over here there is a different option. You have Wi-Fi MAC address, your IP address, your Android version, yeah, IMEI number, model and hardware, everything. But the very important thing is that your build number, you should not uh, enable this build number. So over here you can see no need, you are already in a debugger mode, or you are already in a developer mode. So if you have enabled this, so you are enabling a USB debugging for the attackers to have a entry on your device. So make sure this build number is not enabled. Also, one of the thing is that over here we are having different options, the developer options. So once you have enabled this developer option, in that you can simply check whether your USB debugging is enabled or not. If it is enabled, simply disable this, because this USB debugging will successful 100% give an entry to your Android devices. So make sure at any point, if anyone saying never ever enable your USB debugging, never ever go and enable your developer mode, because developer mode is only for the testing purpose, and this developer mode will lead an attacker to have an entry for your devices. So this is what you can go for the testing, and it's highly recommended. Only use the applications or the target in your home lab setup. Don't go for the real target, because it's not a legitimate way of performing any kind of testing or activity. So this is what we have learned about what is your mobile applications, its vulnerability and its security. So anyone having any kind of questions, you can ask over here, because we are done for the day. Attendance link has been shared, so you can mark your attendance.